Okay, here we go with the review of the audio clips that I recorded during the Azerbaijan Grand Prix on Sunday. Before I go into my recordings, there's a few things that I want to go through with you, because some of you may not have seen these. And this is a key one. So, you can all look at this on YouTube. It's on the Formula One YouTube channel, their own YouTube channel. And it's got the best team radio from the 2024 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And 3 minutes 4 seconds in, you've got this. You can all go and watch it.
Okay, so you got Snow behind you. Looks like he's chasing a toe.
So this is on board with Perez, okay? Let me just try and get that into screen. So in fact, I'll maximise this. And Perez's crew saying, so you've got Sonoda behind you. Looks like he's chasing a toe.
Okay, let's give him a toe.
Perez says, okay, let's give him a toe. Right, one of the drivers from the B team is chasing a toe. Oh, let's give him a toe. Well, what's going on there? Red Bull have 4 cars at their disposal then in this sport. Which other teams do that? You know, do Williams give the Mercedes team a toe? Do the Haas team give the Ferraris a toe? You know, what's this arrangement that's going on here? Shows you it's a corrupt sport, doesn't it? When you've got a fifth of the grid, 4 cars, Red Bull A and Red Bull B team, and the Red Bull A team here is suggesting that they're going to give a toe to the B team. So what does that do? Well, that gives the B team an advantage. It gives those 2 Red Bull B team cars an advantage over those competitors around them, trying to boost them further up the grid and knock down some other competitors. And those other competitors that might get knocked down might be the rivals of Red Bull. So they're using their influence to try and influence the chances of their B team to have extra cars in the way of the competitors around them. That's not a fair sport, is it? What are you doing about that, the FIA? The notion of having a B team is ridiculous, right? Shouldn't be allowed when other teams aren't allowed that. And you're denying the likes of Andretti or other teams that want to enter the sport. Now, I've got no allegiance to Andretti. I'm just saying, when you've got an independent team that wants to enter the sport, and you're not allowing that, but what you are allowing is Red Bull to have an A and a B team and utilise their B team to impact the race. Okay, they can use them cars to hold other competitors up to benefit the A team, and the other teams don't have that. That's an extra advantage for Red Bull.
No, go. Keep going, go. Hold on. Go.
So, you know, this you can see what the intention is. We'll play that again.
Okay, so you got Snow behind you. Looks like he's chasing a toe.
Sonoda behind you. Looks like he's chasing a toe.
Okay, let's give him a toe.
Okay, let's give him a toe.
No, go. Keep going, go. Hold on. Go.
So, you can see the intent. Okay, so that was in Q1. That was in qualifying. So, right, we'll come out of that and we'll go to the videos, the recordings that I took. Not so many this time round. As I say, because Brundle and Crofty weren't commentating, there was less bullshit. Because let's be clear, it's just verbal diarrhea from them. But instead, we got Karun Chandok and whoever the other guy was. I honestly don't know who it was. Now, the key thing that there's a couple of key things that I've already gone through. In the previous video where I was just highlighting the fact that race ended under safety car conditions, albeit virtual safety car conditions. And there was nobody complaining that we'd been denied a race. Okay? Nobody was complaining that race ended as a damp squib. Okay? Oh, it wasn't exciting because it just fizzled out. Who said that? Nobody. And why? Well, we'd seen the racing and we'd seen the vast majority of that race take place, and we'd seen who was winning it. We'd seen battles along the way, and we'd seen that somebody was winning it. And then something happened which meant that it wasn't safe to go racing because the circuit had obstructions on it, and therefore you can't race in those conditions. So it's accepted that, okay, that's the end of the race. Not a problem. So why, when we relate that back to Abu Dhabi 2021, why was the difference? Because it's exactly the same situation. You can go, oh, but there was longer left. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if there's not time to clear that all up and go racing again. Well, you've seen a race, okay? You did see a race at Abu Dhabi 2021. You saw over 53 laps of that race because Lewis Hamilton was 0.6 of his way around lap 53. Okay, so no, you didn't see fully 53 laps. You saw a full 52 laps. Lewis Hamilton was on his lap 53. You saw that. 52 of 58 laps you saw. Okay? As I say, Lewis Hamilton was on his 53rd lap. And we saw what was happening. That guy in the lead had a 12-second lead. The guy that was in second place was not making inroads into that lead. That lead had stabilised at around the 12-second mark. What excitement did you need to see? This is sport, okay? And sport is played out under rules. And if a situation occurs whereby the competitive play, the competitive element of it has to stop, and the result be declared early, essentially, because yes, you can go through the motions to see the duration out, but ultimately the competitive nature from there on inwards has to stop, then so be it. We see it in cycling. If there is a crash within the last, I don't know whether it's 3 or 5 kilometers of a stage for stage racing, then they kind of neutralise it from there onwards, okay? Because you can't have a load of riders kind of having to stop on the road while there's all of the other riders strewn on the ground in front of them, whilst others have just been released off and can sprint off into the distance and make huge ground on everybody. Okay, so they neutralise the stage in that manner. It's a known thing, it's an accepted thing by all of the entrants to the sport. So why did the sport of Formula One have to condition everybody to believe that they were entitled to a racing finish to that event? You know, this is really quite key. And like I say, the lies and the contradictions, and this is why I do these videos, is that every Grand Prix we watch, I can see contradictions. I can see and I can hear the things that are being said which are just not right. In many things in life, there is a clear difference between right and wrong. In sport, there are rules to a sport, and therefore, if you know them, then you know what is allowed and what isn't, and you know what is right and you know what is wrong. In Formula One, they present us with commentators and experts that they don't appear to know. Well, they do know the rules. These people competed. They know what they're talking about, but they're paid to pretend that they don't. They're paid to pretend to present this notion, oh, this is Formula One. Anything can happen. One week they might decide to do this. The next week they might decide to do that. Hang on. Well, that's not sport. Because you can't compete under changeable rules and regulations where you don't know what's going on. What are they going to do this week? This week, are they going to throw the chairs into the ring and people hit each over the head with chairs? That's called wrestling, okay? That's not Formula One, is it? It's not a sport. It's not a sport. But that's what they do. And the likes of Brundle, the likes of Chandok this week and Kravitz, these guys that pretend that they're so excited about it. This is another thing that, and I think I'll show this in one of these clips that I'm going to present. We had Ted Kravitz when they cut to him in the pits, and I showed that in the first little reaction video that I did, where Ted Kravitz is telling you, going to be if I had a sofa here in the pit lane, I'd be jumping up and down on it, right? And then I've got another clip where it's got Karun Chandok going, oh, there was one point in the commentary booth I was jumping up and down, right? So they're telling you that oh, look at me, I'm so excited. Right, go and watch a game of football, right? Go and watch a game of football and listen to the commentators. Do the commentators go, oh, this game of football, so excited, I'm jumping up and down? They don't do it, do they? Right? The excitement is what you see. Okay? The excitement is how you feel about what you see. It's not the commentators having to tell you that this is exciting, is it? Okay? But this is part of the show of Formula One. It's part of the contrivance. It's part of the mind conditioning that they have to sell it. They're salesmen. Okay? And it's part of, again, this social media generation that we've got now, right? You're all encouraged to show the world that you are living your best life, okay? You're having the best time ever. And in having the best time ever, what you're having to do is take about, well, rather than enjoy what's actually going on in your life, okay, you have to get your phone, you have to turn it onto selfie mode, you have to put some filters on to make you look all right, and then you have to take about 40 photographs to get the right one so that you don't look among in these photographs, right? And then after you've got a photograph that you're finally happy with, taken from the right angle that makes you look a way that you're happy to look, you then upload it to your social media to tell everybody that you're having the best time ever, right? For them to hit the like button. And then you feel good if they like it, all right? And that's what they're doing to you in Formula One. Look, everybody, you're having the best time ever because I'm jumping up and down in the commentary booth. That's what they're doing to you. That's what they're doing to you. And actually, these fluff channels on YouTube, you get these watch-along channels that have sprouted up. But they're doing exactly the same to you. They're all, oh, yeah, we've just watched it and it was incredible, wasn't it? And all they're trying to do is fluff their way in to try to audition essentially for a media role within the sport of Formula One. Now, clearly, I'm not looking to do that. Okay, my motivation is entirely different to wanting to join those corrupt entities at Formula One. But you'll see where this goes as the months pass. Anyway, we'll finally get into these clips, and these are the first one I started when the race started, and there were various things that I could have picked out, but I got so far in and I thought I'm not going to make this video too long, so I'm not going to go through all of them ones. We'll just go through a few of these. Here we go.
Lap 34, and George Russell managing to get through on Max Verstappen, as we just saw, rubbing salt into the wounds of Max Verstappen, who, well, hasn't had a win since going back to Spain for a Grand Prix win for Verstappen, and right now he's fighting down in 7th place. How things change 6 months on from a dominant display in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, to where we are at now. We all want to see brilliant, epic racing. That's what we're getting, but you have to ask questions at how a team can change and lose performance so quickly within a season as we go back up front towards turn 1.
Let's ask those questions on Monday. Let's enjoy.
Yeah. Let's ask those questions on Monday. Well, this is the Sky Sports F1 YouTube channel, and this is the list of their latest videos. And we've got why Oscar Piastri's killer instinct could cause a McLaren headache. So that was 7 hours ago. How long was that? I don't know. I'm not going to click onto it. Oh, 51 minutes long. So whether they cover the downfall of the Red Bull team in that video, I don't know. But there's not a video entitled, why is it that Max Verstappen was down in 7th position in that race? What's going on there? What's going on there? What's happened between the start of the season and now? Anyway, we'll go on to the next clip. Okay, listen to this one and understand just what is really going on.
The quality of driving from both of these drivers at the front of the field has been exemplary, really. You know, we're not seeing lockups, we're seeing fair, clean racing. The defense has been clean. None of these late maneuvers under braking. It is a really, really top quality drive from, frankly, all of these top three drivers, but particularly, I think, Piastri and Leclerc.
Yeah, just
So, Karun is saying, isn't it great that we're seeing quality driving here? We're not seeing the shit elements that we've been used to being seeing. Oh, who gives us those shit elements? Oh, well, that would be Max Verstappen. Those of us who have watched the sport for any length of time, you know, since before 2021, we know what constitutes good driving. We know what constitutes clean driving. We know what constitutes acceptable driving. 2021 came along and it's elbows out from Max. Oh, Max is so uncompromising, right? So that's what they tell us. Oh, it's super aggressive from Max, and they're making that sound as though it's a great attribute to have, right? And then we've got, oh, look at Max's drive. It's the best driving you've ever seen. This guy is a natural talent. You could tell from the moment he was 12, he was destined to be a future Formula One world champion. What an incredible driver. He's going to go on to break all of the records in the sport and all this bullshit. Okay? Because that's what they've been bigging this lad up as. They manufactured 2021. You can go through every single race where they broke the rules of the sport to facilitate that kid, right? Because they wanted to manufacture him as the champion. That's the fact of the matter. It's an absolute fact. And then since then, he's been competing in that rocket ship of a 2022 car, a rocket ship of a 2023 car. It started at the 2024 season as a rocket ship, and now it's not. Now, what's going on there? What's going on there? Because if it's now not, what is causing that? Are the FIA purposefully making Red Bull sandbag to spice up the championship battle? Because they like it. This is the new terminology. Oh, spicy. Yeah, they like the notion of engaging the audience through having a title fight. They know that last year people were switching off because Max Verstappen won every race of the season, right? Or whatever it was. And they know that people were getting bored and switching off, and they don't like it when you switch off. So they have to manipulate things so that you don't switch off. So why are they manipulating things to slow Red Bull down? And then when somebody just about catches up, they'll go, all right, we've slowed you down enough, Red Bull. You can carry on doing what you're doing. Oh, Red Bull have come with a late upgrade this season. Oh, and it's finally working. And Max is back to winning. Who knows? Who knows, right? Or, because of the performance advantage that Red Bull car has had during 2022, during 2023, and during the start of 2024, and again, those of us that actually have watched this sport for any length of time, you can actually look at the scale of an advantage that some competitors have over others. And the scale of the advantage that Red Bull had over the remainder of that field throughout that time would say to me that they were doing things that the others weren't. And I would suggest that if the others weren't doing them and couldn't catch up, couldn't work out what Red Bull were doing, because these teams, they all employ engineers, they all employ qualified people with brains that have got the ability to innovate, they've got the ability to come up with the ideas, they can see what the other cars are doing, and then they can replicate those designs on their own car. They know, and they can very quickly find out what the other teams are doing, copy it, and match their performance, and then find a way of actually outdevelop them. That is what happens in this sport. We see it all the time. Over all the years of the sport, that is what we've seen. Red Bull has maintained that level of dominance for that period of time. Okay? Now, that would say to me there's something not right with that Red Bull car. But let's go back to this clip. Let's go back and just clarify what Karun said.
The quality of driving from both of these drivers at the front of the field has been exemplary, really. You know, we're not seeing lockups, we're seeing...
Hungary.
Fair, clean racing, the defense.
We're seeing fair, clean racing. Who doesn't give us fair, clean racing? Oh, Max Verstappen moving over on Lando Norris in Austria. That one.
Has been clean. None of these late maneuvers under
None of these late manoeuvres
braking.
under braking. Hey, yeah, none of these late manoeuvres under the late lunges where, yeah, basically move out the way else I'll smash into you. And carry on saying, isn't it great that we're seeing this kind of driving, which doesn't display that? And yet, for how long were they telling us that we were watching something that was great? Oh, isn't it so exciting that Max Verstappen has come along with this elbows out driving? Isn't that exciting? And now, isn't it exciting that we're finally seeing clean racing? Both are exciting, aren't they? Okay, it's great that we're seeing dirty racing. Oh, it's great that we're seeing clean racing. It's all great, isn't it, everybody? We're all having a great time, regardless of whether it's this way or it's the opposite way. Either way, it's still a great way, isn't it? Salesman. Anyway.
It is a really, really top quality drive from, frankly, all of these top three drivers, but particularly, I think, Piastri and Leclerc.
Yeah, thanks for that, Karen. Next clip. Let's have a look what's next.
Let's not forget that coming into this weekend, Ferrari were only 39 points behind Red Bull in the Constructors' World Championship, and they've got two of their cars in the top four. They would dearly like for Charles Leclerc to win this Grand Prix, of course, but in terms of the Constructors' table...
No shit, Karen.
This is a good haul of points for Ferrari. They'll get 30, McLaren will get 32 and take over the lead of the Constructors' Championship by 1 point from Red Bull if the race finishes in this order. But the top three...
And we have to say everything as though it's really exciting, isn't it? And they will do this. It's just the hype job. All the time it's a hype job, but this isn't the key point. I just listen to this voice and it annoys me, but anyway.
This back marker's coming up. It's going to get messy.
I was going to say the top...
So, F1 TV. Okay, you've got the editor guy in the studio, all right? You've got the editor in the studio hyping it all up now. Look, we're watching this and it's so exciting and it's just about to get even more exciting because now we're throwing in the back markers. And so you've got commentary telling you that, but you've got F1 TV choosing a message from one of the teams to their driver, and they're going, right, we'll play that to the world to show the world and tell the world that we're now going to see the lapping of the back markers, and that's going to throw even more spice into the mix. Carry on being excited, everybody. And again, this is just what this show is.
Point from Red Bull if the race finishes in this order. But the top three...
This back marker's coming up. It's going to get messy.
I was going to say the top three are starting to catch back markers. They're bang on cue, hearing the message from the Red Bull pit wall. And this could add another element of spice to the final 8 laps.
Hold on to your hats, and if you don't have...
Hold on to your hats, everybody. Let's jump up and down as we're watching this. It's so exciting. I hope you're all excited.
One, go and get one, and then hold on to it. Joe, Bottas, Stroll, and Ocon are all just ahead of our leading pack. Oscar Piastri leads the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc chasing him down in second. Sergio Perez back on form and in the fight. And Carlos Sainz in the second Ferrari closing in on them all. But traffic is approaching as we head into the closing stages of this fantastic Grand Prix held here at...
Oh, it's a fantastic Grand Prix. It ruined it. Ended behind the safety car, didn't it? Ruined it.
The Baku Street Circuit, sublime racing from all of our drivers, but particularly the top three in this race. Leclerc still...
Sublime racing, yeah. So this is sublime racing, but when we see Max throw it around and ram people off the track, that's the best you've ever seen as well. Next. Right, this is the bit where Perez and Sainz have the coming together and crash. But listen to the commentary in this. They sell this fake notion of teamwork, and the commentators have probably never played a team sport in their entire life. They've got no clue what teamwork actually means. We had it at the Monza Grand Prix, where on that opening lap, the two McLarens going into turn one stayed 1 and 2, and then fantastic teamwork from the McLarens, and then like 2 turns afterwards, when we got to the chicane, Oscar does him. No, that's not teamwork. One lad's overtaking his teammate. So, but they'll try and go, oh yeah, those two cars are working together as a team. Well, what you saw with the two Ferraris, and go and check it out on the F1 YouTube channel, you'll see that Sainz, well, firstly, Perez puts the challenge in on Leclerc, and Leclerc defends, and that slows Perez down and gives an opportunity for Sainz to go through. So fair play to Sainz, he grabs it, goes through on Perez, but then the extra momentum that Sainz has got means that he's in a position where he's not alongside Leclerc, but he's kind of half alongside Leclerc, so he's not got the optimal line going into the next corner, and therefore he's slow around that corner, giving the chance for Perez to get back at him. Had they been working as a team, then they'd have been able to coordinate that element better to not leave Sainz vulnerable to that reattempt by Perez. They weren't working together as a team, okay? Leclerc was defending his position from Perez. Sainz was opportunist, but then Leclerc wasn't like, oh, if I kind of slow this down, I'm gonna leave my teammate Sainz vulnerable to Perez again, so I'll actually let him through, and that would be better for a team. No, he wasn't. He was still fighting his teammate because he was still fighting to try and be second in that race. Don't try and present this notion of teamwork when that wasn't teamwork. All right? Don't lie to the audience saying that we're witnessing teamwork. You know, two people from the same team working together to overcome one of the other cars. That's utter bollocks. So don't try and say that. You've got no idea about team sport if that is what you're trying to compare teamwork as being, okay? You're just twats for even presenting it like that.
The DRS line will come. Is the writing on the wall for Charles Leclerc, who will defend for as long as he can. Perez in the Red Bull moves to the outside, forces his way around, but Leclerc's not having any of it. Forces Perez out wide, and that makes Sainz through on Perez. Teamwork makes the dream.
Teamwork makes the dream. Utter bollocks, mate. Utter bollocks.
Work for Ferrari, and Sainz gets up into the podium places, but now Perez coming back, and there's contact between Perez and Sainz into the wall. Disaster for Ferrari and Red Bull. It all happens in the blink of an eye, but that is a massive shift in this race. In the dying stages, Sainz and Perez out.
Wow, I think Perez feels really aggrieved there. Norris is up into fourth, Russell into third. Verstappen, by the way, pitted at that point. I think they're going to have to call the safety car and finish this race probably under the safety car.
Karun, right? Karun thinks they're probably going to have to finish this race under the safety car. Let that sink in. The guy that they've chosen to talk to you about the sport, you know, a former Formula One racer, he thinks that they're probably going to have to call the safety car and probably finish this race behind the safety car, right? He can't say it with certainty, can he? He can't say that with 1 and a bit laps to go, this isn't guaranteed now to be a safety car finish. You can't do that. Oh, just probably. This is the level of competence we've got. This is the level of competence.
So, We'll get a replay of it, I'm sure, but I think Perez probably fears. Here we go. This was, first of all, Sergio Perez in the slipstream behind a Charles Leclerc. He got a very, very good run. The Sauber got out of the way, so Leclerc didn't have that slipstream. Perez got it front. Leclerc came back at him. Down.
I was trying to rewind that, but I've pressed the wrong button. Let's try and go to that bit again.
Under the safety car.
Here we go.
Is up into fourth, Russell into third. Verstappen, by the way, pitted at that point. I think they're going to have to call the safety car and finish this race probably under the safety car.
I think we're going to have to finish this race probably under the safety car. So what are the options then, Karen? We're on lap 50 of 51. What are the options? Do we red flag it? Okay, if we red flag it now, does it meet the criteria for red flagging? Is the track passable? Well, there's a lot of debris on the track, so it is arguable that it's a bit dangerous. But is there a clear pathway through? Well, evidently, cars go straight through. Okay? Cars come around the corner, come upon that incident. The incident's on their left-hand side. They drove to the right of the track and avoid the incident, and they carry on driving. Now, they might ride over debris, but that's what they've done. All right? So, and neither driver is requiring medical attention. The track is passable, albeit it needs debris clearing up. You're not going to clear that debris up within a lap anyway. Them cars need removing. You're not going to clear them up within a lap. I'm guessing, again, I've not done the statistics, but they were talking about, we're now coming up to back markers not long before this, so I'm guessing there were probably lapped cars there as well. So you'd have had to do the unlapping procedure. It's not happening with a lap and a half to go, is it? It's never going to happen in that timescale. If you red flagged it, then with there being lapped cars in situ, in fact, regardless of the lapped cars, you'd have to release them anyway. But you red flag it, the cars return to the pits. That's the completion of lap 50. Okay, and then any restart, the way that would begin would be a standing start on the grid. The cars would drive out of the pit lane, go around the track, and that constitutes a lap of that race because they're using fuel in going around that lap, and that fuel is accounted for by that race distance. So when that's the way it is. So that counts as a lap of the race. That lap, when they go from the pit lane, having been red flagged, around to form the grid, that is then lap 51. That's the end of the race. So probably, Karen, you think that it's probably going to be a safety car.
Norris is up into fourth, Russell into third. Verstappen, by the way, pitted at that point. I think they're going to have to call the safety car and finish this race probably under the safety car.
Now, he's not the only one, and this is another thing that I'm going to go to show you. Let's see which one it is. I think it's this one. This is, again, Formula One, their commentary team. Is this Alex Brundle? I don't know. Listen to this.
He's out of the Grand Prix, and on the penultimate lap of the race, that's the moment that wins the Grand Prix for Oscar Piastri.
That's the moment that wins the Grand Prix for Oscar Piastri. No, it's not. Okay? You're the presented expert, and that is not the moment that wins the Grand Prix for Oscar Piastri. The moment that wins the Grand Prix for Oscar Piastri is when he crosses that finish line and takes the checkered flag. Okay, that is the moment that wins that Grand Prix for him. Okay, unless the rules are broken. If the rules are broken, the last valid lap would be the moment that won the Grand Prix. But between now and that checkered flag, which will come at the end of lap 51, Oscar Piastri could crash out of that race. Oscar Piastri could suffer a puncture. So he's on lap 50 at the moment, is Oscar Piastri. And before he gets to the pits, he could suffer a puncture and have to pit and require a tyre change. And if he does so, in order to be able to get it around lap 51, then he might lose position. There might be several cars that go through. So this moment here, this crash, is not the moment that wins the race for Oscar Piastri, is it?
Lap of the race, that's the moment that wins the Grand Prix for Oscar Piastri.
And again, presented to you, presented to us, this form of expertise commentating on this sport. And it is no expertise. Okay? All it is that's what's that? What's that? Hype the children up, okay? Sell the show, tell them anything can happen, tell them you're having the best time of your life, tell them that you're jumping up and down because you're so excited, tell them that you're watching the best thing ever, even if it's the opposite of what you told them was the best thing ever a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't matter. They're all thick as fuck. They won't know. Just sell them the show and we'll keep making the money. And that's what they're doing to you. That is what they're doing to us all. But some of us can see it. Some people will never see it and they'll continue to be aroused by it. That's just what it is. Anyway, we'll go back. Now there's a reason that I actually have taken to this lad, Oscar Piastri. Okay, I look at what he has accomplished, I look at how he's accomplishing it, and I'm impressed by his talent as a driver. But as a human being, I'm also, so far, impressed by that too. So let's have a listen to this.
Red Bull.
Yeah, boy. Lovely. Lovely job, Oscar. Great afternoon. Fantastic.
Yes. Well done, everybody. That was probably the most stressful afternoon of my life. So, well done. Yeah, that was a big move. So, thank you very much for the car. What a day that was. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah, quite stressful for him. He's a young lad in the pinnacle, so-called pinnacle of the sport, elite level sport on the global stage, and he's just accomplished his second victory. So you can tell this is not normal for him. This is still a major accomplishment, a major achievement. And that's a measured response to it, isn't it? But what we get from several of the other drivers is, you know, absolutely crazy outbursts of emotion. Wow! Oh, that was amazing! Oh, that was incredible! You know, all right, calm down, lad. You've just done what you have set out to do. But you celebrate and you've done all right, but you don't need to celebrate like that every time. It's not as though kind of you've won this once in a lifetime thing that, you know, was so incredible. It's not like that. But every time you do it, you celebrate like that. I mean, Lando Norris used to do that every time he came second. You know, that's Lando for you. But the commentators don't like that. The sport doesn't like that. You see, the sport. That's too downbeat for this sport.
He really doesn't sound stressed, does he? I mean, it's quite extraordinary.
It's that Aussie accent, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Aussie accent is the reason that the Oscars doesn't feel the need to go, oh, yes, oh, that was brilliant, I'm living my best life. Yeah, it's just the Aussie accent why he doesn't feel the need to have to do that. And play your games. Play your games. Anyway, next. Right, this is something that I'm going to go into.
And you are driver of the day as well.
You are driver of the day. What a load of shit. Okay. Now, in a sport which is an individual sport, because let's be clear, it's an individual sport. They'll try and sell it to us as a team sport, but realistically, it's not really a team sport. And we very rarely see drivers operating as teammates. Okay. Well, we saw it in Abu Dhabi 2021 when Max needed Sergio Perez to drive erratically to hold up Sir Lewis Hamilton, where Mercedes pitted Lewis when they didn't need to set that up. But what this notion of, oh, well, you're driver of the day in a team sport, right, where you've got 11 players against 11 players in football, you've got the man of the match award, okay, or the player of the match award. There's ladies football, of course, as well. So you've got player of the match. Now, that is a personal, like a individual award given to the player who has made the best contribution to the game, had the biggest influence, the biggest positive influence on the game or the team result. So that is an individual accolade within the context of a team sport. In an individual event, well, actually your achievement is where you finished. Okay? Oh, but the fans voted to see who their favourite was. Well, it's not a popularity contest, is it? Oh, the fans thought that this one was the best of the day. Right. Now, ultimately, when you've got a car that is a rocket ship and just wins every race, then you can pretty much discount that, because that is not competing in the same manner that all the other cars are. And sometimes it's a case of, okay, if a car has started at the back of the grid and had to fight his way through everyone and has done so, then you can say, well, what an incredible achievement. But in just a normal race where those kind of dynamics don't exist, well, your driver of the day is the one that wins, aren't they? They're the ones where they've accomplished what the objectives of the sport are. Oh, but let's have a vote from the fans to see who the fans liked. This is some bullshit thing that's been introduced, isn't it? A Liberty Media marketing thing where, sell it to the kids, make the kids feel involved, get them to vote. Scan the QR code and tell us what you think.
Thank you. I don't know what the thank you in Azerbaijani is, but I'm not even going to attempt it. Thank you.
To be fair, Oscar, what means more to you? The trophy for winning the Grand Prix, or getting the Driver of the Day award. Oh, great that is. When you look on Wikipedia at your career stats, I bet you the thing that you're most proud of is the number of Driver of the Days you've been voted for, isn't it? Oh, me.
Well done, Baku. Well done.
Well done, Baku. Yes, well done. Well done, Baku. You did incredibly well, Baku. There we go. This goon, Gunter Steiner, right? Now he's wormed his way back in as one of the presenters there. So he's asking George Russell a question on the post-race interviews here.
What was the most difficult moment for you in the race? Because as you said, you felt
driving full gas into a wall of carbon fiber on the penultimate lap. I mean, that was pretty crazy. The sun was coming down, you couldn't see anything. I was shocked the safety car or VSC didn't come out sooner. It was the car could have been anywhere. So
there you go. This is an insight into the experience that a Formula One driver will have driving a car. When you're driving around a street circuit on the limit at ridiculous speeds, your ability to react to things is extremely tight, and the level of ability that these drivers actually have is far beyond what most of us will have. When watching that race and they were seeing the onboards, you could see the shadowing across the track. You've got sunlight, and then you've got the shadowing from the trees, and then that constant flicker as you are passing through the shadowing of trees and buildings and things like that, and how that affects your visibility as you're trying to race a racing car around a street circuit like that is actually something that is quite dangerous. You add into that the fact that there's an incident, and then there's a load of debris, and that debris, the cars are travelling through it and spraying that debris around, and George Russell driving through that, well, there's a problem. So George has identified there that he's surprised that race control didn't take action sooner than they did. So once again, a failing of the FIA. But I also feel that it's a massive failing of the entire sport, that the fact is, around the world, there exists purpose-built motor racing circuits, and this sport chooses to stage Grand Prix on street circuits. They're not set up for motor racing in the way that motor racing is best carried out, in the safest way that motor racing can be carried out. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. See, the crowds, where are your grandstands for the crowds at Baku? Well, so what money are you making? Well, that's coming from the government, isn't it? That's coming from the Azerbaijan government paying to stage a race. But Formula One's happy with that. FOM, Formula One management gets a load of money, cha-ching, we're happy with that. So we're driving around streets, we're doing loads of 90-degree turns, 90-degree, 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 whatever, 90-degree turns, go through the old castle section or wherever they call it, I don't even know. And, you know, we've just watched the best thing ever. Okay, well, we've got motor racing circuits where you've got a multitude of challenges for the driver, changes in gradient, different styles of curves and bends and things like that. We've got grandstands, we've got runoff areas. You know, we've got this is purpose built for motor racing, and there's plenty of places where they're redundant. Okay, they're redundant facilities because the sport of Formula One is choosing street race after street race after street race. And I think there's a danger in that. I do think there's a danger in that. Now, occasionally, you know, there's the historic ones such as Monaco that people will say that that's a gem of the sport. Well, really, it's a parade. How many overtakes have you seen around Monaco in the last, ever? You know, in the modern era of Formula One racing. And I say modern era, I'm talking from the 80s onwards. How many overtakes have you seen at Monaco? Well, you just don't. They're rare as rocking horse shit. So, are you watching racing or are you watching a parade? You know, there should be something else there. I mean, if they want to include that event because of the historic nature of it and the fact that, again, cha-ching, it's a big money event. Why not stage a time trial there? Yeah, do it differently, because what you're not seeing at Monaco is a race. Because it's not a race, is it? If all you can do is follow the car in front of you with virtually zero chance of actually being able to overtake them, because unless there's a significant performance differential in the vehicles, the chance of a similarly paced vehicle overtaking another is almost impossible, unless somebody makes a major error. So essentially, you're watching a parade, and the only thing that will be different within that parade is if somebody makes a mistake. Oh, that's really exciting, isn't it? Not for me. Not for me. Anyway, next. This is what I was saying earlier. Have a listen to this.
It's taken me a couple of minutes to catch my breath, to be honest. I was jumping in the commentary box at one point. It was so intense.
Oh, I've only just caught my breath because it was so exciting. I was jumping in the commentary box. All right, mate. Okay, we all watched it. Who was there, sat at home watching this? Who was jumping up and down? Okay, I wasn't. But those in the commentary box were. They were jumping. Come on, everybody. Get carried along on this wave of excitement. It's incredible, isn't it? I was jumping up and down in the commentary box.
Let's go back to the start of the race. On board here with Sergio Perez. Oscar Piastri's in front.
Yeah, enough of you, Karun. Right, this one I think is Jacques Villeneuve, I believe. Have a listen.
Well, the regulations say you cannot crowd and sign.
The regulations say you cannot crowd. Listen to this strap-on fanboy. The regulations say you can't crowd. Jonathan Wheatley will tell you, we call that let them race. No, there's regulations. You're not allowed to drive in the space that the other car is in. You're not allowed to push them off the track. You've got to afford them room on the track. That's crowding them off the track, okay? And you're not allowed to crowd them on the track. If they are there, you're not allowed to move over into their space, because you're going to cause a collision. Okay, it's like if you're driving your car along the road, okay, and you're going down, for example, a dual carriageway or a motorway, and you're side by side with another car, and you just pull over onto that other car. What are you doing? Well, you're causing a crash. You're driving your car into their car. Okay? The FIA would say, "Oh, you should have given them more room, that car that's just driven into you." No, I'm here in my lane driving, and they've just pulled across into me. Right? That's called crowding in this sport that they call motorsport. Right? You're not allowed to do it. Okay? The FIA will, when it involves Red Bull and Max Verstappen, they'll blame Lewis for that, for not giving enough room and could have done more to get himself out of the way of being crowded. But at least Jack Villeneuve will tell you what it actually is.
Well, the regulations say you cannot crowd, and Sainz was crowding, moving across the track while Perez was next to him. Now,
To be fair, that is all there is to it. What we did see in that race was when Piastri was defending, that he'd go around a corner, and then with Leclerc it seemed again from the camera angles partially alongside of him, Piastri would veer quite sharply left as a defensive manoeuvre, making Leclerc have to move left. Otherwise, there could have been a collision. It could have hit his front wing against his rear tyre. Again, don't know exactly how close they were to doing that from the camera angles that we were seeing. But if you've got a car that's alongside you, you know it's there. Was there a full car's width to the outside of Perez? Yes. Okay. Could Sainz have continued driving along that straight and not move in from the barriers and stay on that line and not contact Perez? Yes. But what did Sainz do? Well, Sainz moved himself across and got a touch on Perez's car. Well, it's your fault then, isn't it? It's your fault. You're not allowed to crowd. They called it a racing incident. They didn't afford, they didn't apportion any blame. So again, this is the way that they do it. But ultimately, Sainz was the car that moved across. Now, again, if this was a motor racing circuit, well, it is a motor racing circuit. It's a street circuit. But what you need to be able to see is, did Perez leave a car's width for the car that was on its outside? And yes, there was space on his outside for that car to be there. And yet this car's width needs to be within the track limits, okay? And if there was that space, Perez hasn't done anything wrong there. And Sainz has, with the available space, he's moved into Perez's space. Crowding. Not allowed. Okay? Not allowed. His fault. At least somebody says crowding, the regulations say you're not allowed to do it. But again, what's happened over the last few years, since 2021, nobody knows now. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what fouls you can get away with and what you're not, because they don't enforce the rules. When they involve Max Verstappen, they tell you that's incredible driving. Oh, that's incredible. That's aggressive. No, that's a breach of the rules. So when you miseducate people, you give people a wrong expectation about what is acceptable and what isn't. And then what you cause them to do is to jump up in the comment section with their retarded comments, arguing to suggest, because they think that they're right. They think that they know what they're talking about because they've been miseducated through the lying bastards in the media that have presented false narrative, and then that causes conflict. Oh, and that causes engagement on social media. Cha-ching for the sport. See what you're doing there. See what you're doing there, Formula One. You filthy bastards. Let me see if there's any more clips worth going through. Here we go.
Yeah, Max Verstappen's had just one podium in the last 5 races. There's no escaping the fact, they have led the championship the last 55 races. I mean, that's an astonishing record. It does show just how formidable they've been as a team. But there's a lot of fight and grit in them. This isn't over yet.
Yeah, but
Oh, there's a lot of fight and grit within Red Bull. This isn't over yet. Okay, so we're not addressing what the drop-off is, all right? We're not addressing the fact that this team has been, like, they scored probably more than double the amount of points as everybody last season, and they started this season as if they were going to do the same. Nobody is, the alarm bells ringing going, what is happening here? Nobody's picking apart this bullshit notion of, oh, well, they've bought developments and these developments haven't worked. We've been given the bullshit. Oh, as the car has evolved, we don't know how to understand the car now, and that's why it's going backwards. All bullshit. All bullshit, right? Because simply, if you bring an upgrade to a car and that car doesn't increase its performance, it's not an upgrade. Okay? Whatever you've tried hasn't worked, you revert back to what you were using. You go back to the drawing board, you learn what it was actually doing, this supposed upgrade that you thought was going to improve performance that didn't, and you realise what it was actually doing, and therefore the direction to go in to either just maintain that level of performance you previously had, all right, or knowing what failed, what to then do to make it work, having learnt from that. Okay? So what they're telling you is a lie. They've either removed illegal components from that car, and this notion of asymmetric braking, well, that's something that we've been fed, but we are fed smoke and mirrors. So it's highly likely that that is just something thrown out there for us to argue about, and it's either not just that, it's not that, it's something else, or the sport is sandbagging Red Bull to create a title fight. It's one of those options. I mean, the DRS straight line speed of that Red Bull was phenomenal. There were times where other cars would get within DRS range of a Red Bull and still not be able to pass it. And people would say, oh, that's because Max Verstappen is so fast. Right, okay, is he pedaling it, is it? The other car has got DRS, okay? So it means it should be able to go 15 kilometers faster in a straight line. It's got within 1 second of that Red Bull. The DRS flap opens on that car, giving it that advantage, and it still can't pass the Red Bull. What's going on there, right? And now that Red Bull is nowhere to be seen. What's going on? How does it drop that performance? It's not asymmetric braking that's causing that. It's not asymmetric braking that's causing that. Now, Max Verstappen not being able to drive around corners, that might account for it. The notion of a driving aid. Max Verstappen going from being the best driver you've ever seen to now not being able to put a lap in like that, or certainly can't do it lap after lap, because he can do it in qualifying still. See, this is the thing. In qualifying, that Red Bull can still do a one fast lap, but they can't do a fast lap after lap after lap, when previously they could. Previously, Max Verstappen would be going away from that field. He'd be going away at half a second a lap. And if you actually go back through the data of previous seasons, in those dominant seasons of 2022, 2023, there'd be races where you look at the final result and go, oh, yeah, he would have won that race by 20 seconds. When actually what they've actually done is pitted late on, an extra pit stop more than other teams to pit onto fresh tyres just to go and get the extra point for fastest lap as well. So what's the real margin of victory? How far were they really ahead? You can pick out the occasions where they might have done that. So, the actual performance differential of that Red Bull car in 2022, 2023, compared to what it is now, it's what really accounts for that. And who is actually exploring that? Sky Sports aren't. Sky Sports aren't. Why? If it's an authentic sport, okay, what you would be doing, you would be forensically scrutinising what has gone on here. And we don't get any of that. Not a single thing. We'll see if, I think I've got one last video. Let me just see what that was about, see if it's worth playing. Yeah. Okay, this is Ted Kravitz interviewing Alex Albon. So I'll try and explain some of this as we go through, but this is what I find is quite relevant that's worth taking from this.
When the top 8 or top 4 teams finish in the points, there's only 8 positions. Well, they take the 8 positions, and then you got the 2 left, right? Does that make sense, Ted?
I'm still computing it.
Right, Ted. What Alex Albon is saying is you've got the top 4 teams on the grid. So you've got McLaren, you've got Ferrari, you've got Red Bull, and you've got Mercedes. 4 teams. If each of those teams has both of their drivers finishing that race, we're expecting those 8 cars to finish in the top 8 positions. Which means Alex Albon is saying, essentially, the Williams car, the best it's really looking to achieve is 9th position in a Grand Prix. You chase it. You're racing off the Aston Martins. You're racing the Red Bull B team. You're racing the Haas cars. You're racing the Kick Sauber cars or whatever they are. And I'm missing another team, aren't I? Williams would be the 5th one, and there's another team that I can't even think who I'm missing. Anyway, so essentially what they're saying is there's 2 positions left in that top 10 where you can get points. You get 2 points for finishing 9th. You get a point for finishing 10th. And these are points that these teams are scrambling for because they want to finish as high up in that constructors table as possible because there's different prize money available. You know, it's probably to the tune of like, I don't know, $7.5 to $10 million per place that you gain in that championship table. It might even be more. It varies season by season, I guess, depending on how much money that sport has made that year. All right. But if the difference between, let's say, you finishing 5th or 6th in the Constructors' Championship is $10 million, well, $10 million is a lot of money. And actually, if the number of points separating 3 teams is, say, 4 points, well, that could be a jump of 20 million from finishing, for example, the difference between 7th and 5th. That could be a difference of $20 million, a significant amount of money. Okay, and that's a significant amount of money to the employees of those teams in terms of what bonus they might get on top of their annual salary. Okay, these things matter. And yet, we have had times in the past where this sport says, oh, just get them out of the way of the race between the leaders. They don't matter. They're irrelevant. Get them out of the way of the race between the leaders. Because this is the lies that this sport, this show, wants to convince you of. And that's why they've never told you the safety car rules that I break down on this channel. Okay, them safety car rules, the unlapping procedure is there for every single competitor. This championship consists of 20 drivers. It consists of 10 teams. There is a championship for the drivers. There is a championship for the teams. They're competing for championship points. How that championship is determined, it's not by how many laps you led. Okay, it's not by how many podiums you've had. It's about how many points you've accumulated over the course of the season. And then whatever that total is, you have then got this position in that points table as to where you finished. And that's all it's about. You play to the rules and then you see who is the champion and where you finish within that championship, and that determines your finishing position and then your prize money in terms of the Constructors' Championships. And that's important. We got to Abu Dhabi 2021 and it was nothing about that, was it? Oh, Max has led the most amount of laps. He fully deserved it. He fully deserved it. He left the most amount of Grand Prix this year, leading the championship. He fully deserved it. He had no luck all season. His tyre popped in Baku. His race was affected when Valtteri Bottas in the wet in Hungary had a bit of a collision with a few cars. He fully... Nothing to do with any of that, is it? At every race, you accumulate points if you can. They're all important, okay? And it's at the end of the season, how many have you got? And this again lies from the sport.
The only positions you can get. So when a race like this happens, to get P7, P8, it means a lot to us, just because it's a huge amount of points for teams that we're rarely fighting for more than 2 points a race weekend. So yeah.
It's lifted Williams. I mean, it's 10 points in a single race. Lifted you above Alpine in the Constructors' Championship.
Good maths.
Yeah, and that could be up to, made a 10 million difference. If this was the final race of the season, and this would have then determined the championship standing, that is the significance of that. And actually, come the end of the season, it could be this 10 points achieved here that make that difference. Yeah? So it's not about, oh, what happened? How many points did you get in that last race season finale? Because every point at every event that you got across the season counts. They all matter.
You did all the work in that long stint, didn't you? I mean, you're not the best friend of Max Verstappen, Lando Norris and George Russell right now.
You're not the best friend of Max Verstappen. Oh, because Max is usually expecting everyone to roll the red carpet out and just let him go by. He's not our race. Okay? And this is the bullshit notion that we've been fed. Oh, we'll just let him by. He's not our race. Guess what happens when you do race them? Oh, well, if you race somebody, you keep them behind you for longer, don't you? You harm their chances. You wear their tyres out. You make their race more difficult. Then what? Oh, anything can happen, can't it? They might make a mistake. They might drive erratically because you're defending them. You're ahead of them in the race and you have the right to defend them. Oh no, he's not my race. I'll just wave him by. If that's how you race, get out of the sport. Don't bother racing. Don't bother racing, because teams don't roll out the red carpet for Lewis Hamilton and just go, oh, Lewis isn't our race. Off you go, Lewis. Good luck. Good luck. Go and catch him. Good luck there. There you go, Lewis. Well done, you, mate. Oh, you're brilliant. They don't do that, do they? No, they race him. But Max Verstappen, oh, he's not our race. Roll out the red carpet. Ole, off you go, Max. Who am I racing? Would you like me to race him or not? Yeah, because that's the kind of commentary we're getting now as well on these teams. Would you like me to race him or not? Get out of the car if you're not going to race.
Now, but you did that work for you and you made it happen for yourself.
Yeah, it was good. We tried it because we had 2 cars that could theoretically score points, and we wanted to do something different to try to get Fernando. But actually, it sounds weird, but our pace was too strong, and we came out,
Our pace was too strong. Really? Your pace was too strong.
In a race where we didn't want to be. We didn't expect everyone to come out the pits behind us. And so we lost so much race time.
You think you lost so much race time? So the cars around you, what kind of race time did they lose by being behind you? So you're impacting those around you. And you're giving yourself a chance of competing with them. And you're saying you think you lost so much race time. And you've had your best result of the season as a team. Strange that, isn't it?
Everyone was fighting around us, and I was trying to let everyone go, just like, come on, get on with your own race. But we were racing Lando. It was just the others we weren't racing. So
oh, you were racing Lando, but you weren't racing the others. Picking and choosing who you're going to race, not racing everybody that you're competing against, like all the other 19 other guys. Weird.
Oh well, that's my story.
Off you go.
Thanks for your valuable insight there, Alex. Anyway, just one thing. As I've been making this video, I've just having a couple of looks at my phone, so I'm just going to show you something to answer a question that somebody's commented on. As I'm back on this screen, check this channel out if you've not already done so. FF1, unsubscribed. Think he's well worth a listen to. Make your own mind up whether you like it or not. But if you're looking for other channels that like talking about Formula One, have a listen to that one. But when the comment in one of my videos that I was referring to, I'll just get onto that now. So it's on the video, the last one I put out with the thumbnail that says robbed. So it's the comment from Dandelion Official, and it says getting ads on this one now. So what is happening with a lot of my videos at the moment is when I upload them, YouTube performs checks on the videos, check that there's no copyright infringements, and they do advertising suitability checks, automated checks on the video. And very, very frequently with my videos recently, every video, well, pretty much every video, is saying this video is not suitable for our advertisers, so it's not eligible to be monetized and will restrict the audience that it can be shown to. And then I just publish it anyway, which means that the video will get shown without adverts. It will make no money. And as I've told you, I'm not doing this to make money for me. I'm doing this to raise money for the court fees, because we all have to pay if we want justice these days. That's the way the law works, apparently. And so ultimately, money is important to get to the figure that I need to be able to take the case to court. Because I don't really want to have to take the law to court on the grounds that you shouldn't have to pay for justice. But again, this is a condition, the system we've all been conditioned to believe is normal. It's normal to have to pay for justice. You can get justice if you can afford it. Yeah, that's the way the law works. If you start actually looking at that deeper, you'll realise really what law's all about. Cha-ching, it's all about the money. Anyway, getting ads on this one now. So basically what happens, I upload a video, YouTube tell me it's not suitable for advertising revenue. I publish it anyway, and then I have to click to request a manual review. Somebody at YouTube has to review my video and decide whether that's suitable for their advertisers. Whether those people who advertise on YouTube want to associate their brand with the truth. And then, after some time, which can take up to a week, YouTube email me and say, oh, good news. There's nothing wrong with your video. It is suitable for advertising. After which time, it's already had the most amount of views that it's already going to get. You know, because once you release a video, it might get 2,000 or 3,000 views, and then it kind of dies a death. So it'll have had its 2,000 or 3,000 views, and then they'll say, oh, it's all right now. We'll let you monetize that video. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. That's really kind of you. So the fact that you're getting adverts on it now means now YouTube have obviously assessed it and decided it's eligible for advertising revenue. The video now has had, let's see where we are, 4,684 views. So, you know, the first probably 3,500 to 4,000 views of this, maybe more. It didn't attract advertising revenue. What does that cost YouTube? What have you cost me? What have you cost this campaign? And how many videos have you done that on? You know, is that 10? Is that 20 quid? Is that 30 quid that this video could have made? In fact, no, on them numbers it won't make that much. Maybe on 4,500 views it might have made, say, 15 quid. Alright. So, but if that 15 quid for a video like that, not a lot, but it all adds up. But if that's on, say, 8 to 10 videos that you've deprived me of, say, 10 to 15 quid, well, there's 100 to 150 quid's worth of advertising revenue that cumulatively you've cost me. Cost the campaign. I say cost me. I'm referring to it from a personal point of view because clearly it's my channel. So, yeah, you do take it personally. But that's the dynamics of the situation. That's what we're up against, and that's what we'll overcome ultimately, because that's the way it's going to be. And as you know, most of you can actually realise that this process is being documented, you know, and even if they do delete the channel, all these videos are backed up and they will appear somewhere else at some point. This is documented as to what you have to do in life to ultimately challenge corruption and achieve justice. And hopefully it'll be used at some point in time to wake the world up. Anyway, please like, please subscribe, and please share the content. We need to wake people up. Thank you for your time. Cheers.